Kimberly Burt, aka Mysterious from Making a Band. I grew up in Detroit, Michigan. My upbringing, like anybody, you grow up with your mom, well, some of us, and some of us don't. I don't mind talking about my early childhood. My early childhood is where it all began, and that's where it needs to start at. So I believe I started off like any child, all you know is your mom. I didn't really know my father at the time, because that story gets, I've met him later on in life, which I'll get there. But my mother was a big influence in my life, like everybody. After a while, I remember like during the day, it would be quiet, and then sometimes it wouldn't. So when it would be quiet, it would be when my mother had company, and it was a particular male. So I guess this male ends up being my little sister's father, so he was a cool guy, he was around. My mother loved him, but I also seen arguing. I remember that. I remember the walls being green and them fussing and fighting a particular night. I remember that. I don't know what they was fighting about, but that's when everything got dark. I remember her being in and out a lot. And I remember a particular day where she disappeared. That's all I remember. Like, she disappeared. It was me and my siblings, and we were alone in the house for a while. And I remember before my mother left, she said, don't answer the door for no one and don't go outside. So my mother was gone for a very long time. So once I met my mother, her side of the story makes sense, but this is from my end of things as a kid, So she was gone for about a week or two. And I remember us being there by ourselves and food running out. And I remember my little sister crying a lot. I remember my brother being upset because he was only a year older than me. And we had this bright idea to go to the store. So we went to the corner store and we went and got bread and sugar. The guy from the corner store, he knew us, but we thinking we like invisible, and my mom would never find out. And you know how everybody's smiling at you when you're a kid, you don't think you're doing anything wrong. But people in the neighborhood was like, I know them kids is not in that house by themselves. We gonna keep eyes on that house, so went up in there and we felt good about sneaking out, just going to get some food. And I remember, I don't know if it was that same day or the next day, I just know going to sleep, waking up to a knock at the door. When the knock came to the door, what my mother say? She said, don't go outside and don't answer the door. I have a tendency to opening doors in my life. That's how deep my life get, and going outside. And then understand, like, it's a flip to it, but it's a great thing. But it's a knock at the door. So I go to the door, it's a male voice. And he asks, he says, your mom home? Because who is it? And he says, is your mom home? And I'm like, no, she not here. Who's that? Who are you? I tell him my name. He said, how old are you? I lied. I told him I'm 18. No, I'm good and dang on well, my voice don't sound like it's 18, but I don't know. I just know I done slipped up and it's really somebody looking for my mom and I could get in trouble. That's what I'm thinking. So he asked me to open the door. I told him I wasn't gonna open the door. But then he said to me, he said, I'll take you to McDonald's. Now, McDonald's is a sin to me now. These days, I love McDonald's, but McDonald's will get you in trouble. So I ended up opening the door because we had sugar sandwiches. And I felt in my mind that we could, like the corner store, we can go hit this McDonald's, we're gonna come back to the house and everything gonna be great. My mom gonna come back and we chilling. So when I opened the door, from my perspective of things, these guys had on funny suits to me, They all had the same colors on, hats. Some people had on long coats. You know, it was a woman with them. She was very nice to us, but to me, it was kind of creepy a little bit because my mom is a different type of woman. You know what I'm saying? So it was like, why is she so nice? What's all these people doing in the house? Like, I think I'm in trouble, but I'm on McDonald's. You know, so we gets in the car, we go to McDonald's, we get the food. Now I want to go home. It's not going home. That's when everything, I felt like, the first time understanding what a lie is. That's what I felt. You lied to me. You could have just told me that my mom's in trouble. I wasn't supposed to be in the house by myself. And maybe I couldn't handle it at that magnitude, but I felt like you lied because I want to go home. The dysfunctionalism that I understood at the time was where I was comfortable at, not understanding what they say my life was going to be better. So, we ended up going to a girl's home, an orphanage, children's village in Detroit. And like I always say, life is amazing because it was preparing me for the levels of life where I was going to be at. So an orphanage is an institution, right? So as I got older, I've been in multiple institutions. It prepared me for the big institution without me understanding that what was gonna happen. So I'm gonna stick here, right? And I always say like for sevens and stuff, right? So I'm at the orphanage. I come to the orphanage, like I used to say to the young women or the people I speak to. In the orphanage, I was surrounded by young kids who wanted to go home. We all just wanted to go home. We didn't understand what was going on with our parents. If our parents was on drugs and they was slumped over on the couch, that's what we was used to, the feeling of being ripped for them to put together, or sometimes they don't put it together. It's a whole different magnitude of its own. And some of us do need to be separated from parents, but they don't give you therapy on that as a kid. It happened, boom, you go here, you go to this home and just deal with it. And then you end up with all these questions and moving a certain way. And then it all becomes this big distorted communication pattern, as I say. So got to the orphanage. Young girls want to go home like me. When I ended up in prison, girls wanted to go home. In the orphanage, girls had same outfits on. We had the same clothes on. In prison, we had the same clothes on. There we had name tags. Prison, we had IDs. It's weird how life works, you know? So got there. Then we ended up there for a while. I remember my mother coming to visit us. And I remember getting in trouble. She said, I did this. You did this. I told you don't go outside. I told you don't answer the door. And now these white folks gonna tell me when to see my kids. You got me. You know what I'm saying? You gonna figure this out, Kim. I was a kid. I just wanted to go home. I didn't know what I did. And my sister, father, and my mom was arguing about some things. And because her thing is, she told him to come to the house. He said that never happened. So who knows, you know? So that's the argument they always have to this day. Yeah. End up going to foster care, different homes, because I see how God works. He's beautiful. I had to meet different energies growing up to prepare me for where I'm at now. I met some good homes, some bad homes. Some good homes, it usually turned into a financial thing, or they don't have the space, or they all of a sudden abruptly want to live their life. And then you have these kids here who, you know what I'm saying, feel all lovey-dovey apart, but then, you know, it's like, I finally figured out I can't, you know, so go back to the orphanage until somebody else can get you and stuff like that. So that was a lot of my dynamic, the back and forth thing. Then I got into my foster home, Miss Burke. She passed, but blessings to her because she was a great lesson in my life. Everything is lessons. everybody. So got there. She gave me God. Yeah, I grew up in the Kingdom Hall Jehovah's Witnesses. And I feel as though, why did God start me there? Now that I'm older, it prepared me for the now. You know, I was in theocratic ministry school. I was a pioneer. I went door to door. And in that religion, I found out that I was good with something, which was the arts. You know, the Kingdom Hall gave me that. I really say that to people. And the wisdom of everything that I do in the arts. A lot of people don't know. Yeah. So Ms. Burt, she wanted me to focus on that, which was great until her grandson moved in. Now, my whole time being, I really didn't understand the male energy as a young girl because, again, my dad wasn't around, you know? So I guess the male energy is like the woman energy, right? So when a woman tell you your hair pretty, isn't it the same thing when a guy tell you your hair pretty? Right? If a woman wants to sit down and watch TV with you, isn't it the same thing when a man wants to sit down and watch TV with you? I don't know. I'm a little kid. He's grown. He's 20-something years old before I get there. He moved in, her grandson. His name was Sean, because I'm very vocal about it in my music. He did something really cool. He gave me music. So how can something so dark turn into something so beautiful? Because God had these certain areas take place in my life to get me where I'm at. I had to understand communication from a different way, if I'm making sense, without making sense, I don't know. But he used to listen to Sade, and in the Kingdom Hall, a lot of people don't know we couldn't listen to what's called secular music. Can't be listening to that boom bap. Everything has to sound classical or no words, or it has to be the Kingdom Hall. You know, we had our own book of songs that we sung. So he was barbecuing once. It was a Saturday. Remember? He was barbecuing and he was playing, oh man, my jam, man, Cherish the Day. That was my first secular song I ever heard. And I remember sitting up, because the way my bed was, I sit like the back window, my bed at the window. Then we didn't have TVs in our room. Then I had a bunch of stuffed animals, and you know, the backyard was big, so you could look out the window. And I remember looking out the window, he was barbecuing. I was like, what's that? He said, what's what? I said, what's that? That sound, that. He's like, oh, Sade. I said, what is that? And he's like, she's singing. I said, you could do that? Like, because all I thought was of the Kingdom Hall, like, because we really were sheltered. And he was like, yeah. And then we got to talking. Now, we got to talking because of my intellect with the Kingdom Hall. I was able to hold a conversation with him. And I think some type of way, I don't know. Maybe he didn't see me as a little girl all of a sudden. You know? He gave me a Walkman. He gave me the Sade tape, told me not to tell my foster mother. Start keeping secrets, you know. He didn't do anything at that time. It's just I knew I would get in trouble listening to secular music. And then that's when my birthday came around. I couldn't wait to be 8. So look, I'm 7 at the time. Right? I couldn't wait to be 8. 8th birthday comes around. Man, no birthday, because Miss Bird don't celebrate. So I felt like, dang, I've been so good since I've been here. Can you just sneak one time? You just give me a gift one time. Just a little slice of cake, just a little bit. And no, she was so stern and just, no, you can't. And so my 8th birthday is when he came in my room and he asked me, have a man ever washed me up? I didn't know what that meant. And he had oral sex with me. And I was 8. So this is somebody I trust. Now, how did this go that fast? That's how I used to think as a kid. And then everything that I was taught in the Kingdom Hall, I felt like it should, at this moment, be worth something, right? Which is, God gonna get him, Jehovah gonna get him. You can't do nothing to me. I did everything right. I'm gonna tell my mother, you know, I feel violated, and boom, it's all gonna go away like a fairy tale. The next day, go to my foster mother, tell her about it. I said, what does it mean when a man puts his mouth on you? And she said, what are you talking about? I said, yeah, Sean. And before I can get it out, she smacked me. It's like, whew, I'll never forget that smack. I think that's the only time I heard a smack, you know, but smacked me. And the term, what happens in this house stays in this house. It's the first time I ever heard that. I had to get an understanding of what she meant, because now we're going against, I have to unlearn everything you just taught me, which is the truth shall set you free, which is I can trust you. I can tell you everything, which is to tell the truth. I'm doing that, and now you beat me? And the psychology in it was, which ended up being kind of right. Because now I'm experienced since the last time people see me. What happens in this house stays in this house. You tell people what's going on, they're gonna look at you like you crazy. People gonna do things to you. All this stuff that she telling me as a child. I can't handle what you saying, but your life seeing things different and you more experienced than me. How can you expect me to hold all that? Why don't you put this guy out the house and work on whatever it is I need, and however you need to protect me from not leaving your house, whatever. But as a community of people, we don't know how to do nothing other than what we've been taught during particular days we may not know about. We get one story of slavery, another story, but that's a whole nother topic. So we immediately jump in this, oh, they gonna say, oh, don't they? And that, really traumatized me, you know? So he continued. And she had told me, particularly before I moved on, she told me that I was dreaming. And I remember, she said, that was a bad dream. Now, what are you getting, hot? You getting fast? You know, you getting fast in my house? What? I just told you. You know, and when I say that, you know, abuse. And boom, Sean continued. But I remember when the next time he did, I made sure my eyes was bucked to the ceiling, like I know what he doing to me. Tried to tell her again. The abuse kept going. But when I was about to show out in the community, she peeped it and said if I do, she was gonna separate me from my sister. So it was like, don't let my grades drop. Don't tell people what's going on in the house, or I risk being separated from my sister. So, make a long story short, in school, I ended up being good because I held on to that secular music. And I felt like that was a way of me talking. So I started doing music in school. And I started, first I was rapping other people like Left Eye, I love her. Moved to Queen Latifah, MC Light, The Brat. But then I said, what are they doing? It was like they're writing their own music. And I started figuring out how to put my own pain in music at a young age. Started being in these talent shows. During the process, I felt separated from everybody because I had this secret, this big secret. It's what was going on in the house. What ended up happening, I got close with one of the kids. Got close with one of the kids at school. Told him what happened. His brother ends up being in a gang. They end up coming to the house. Sean's end up getting beat up. Just how a whole whirlwind started because Miss Burton didn't protect me. And then we ended up in North Carolina. Once we ended up in North Carolina, her brother tried the same thing. And then that came out. And then once the police, because I told about that, once the police found out, they said we both couldn't stay in the house. And she had the decision to send me back. So I ended up having my first kid at 14. Like I said, went to North Carolina, ended up being molested again, tried to tell about it. It didn't go the way I wanted it to go. So she had a choice to keep us in the house or him. Of course, I had to go. So she sent me, my sister, And at this time, actually, I had 2 kids. Yeah, young, 2 kids. Big, deep story. Back to Detroit with nothing but $300 in my pocket. Nowhere to go. Yeah, had to figure it out. Young. I did that though. We stayed in vacant houses. So like during the day, we would go to the store, steal food, right? Eat, gotta hustle, stroller, you know. At night, I would, sometimes in the day, I'd take turns, I would sleep. Marquita would like watch out, you know what I'm saying? Then like, at nighttime, I'll be the one up watching them, you know? It just was like that. Then going to school, trying to figure it out, keeping the secret like that. Then that's where the boys ended up coming into play, right? A lot of us end up in relationships, not because we're in love, but because we're trying to have a place to stay, deep. Place to stay, some food, you know what I'm saying? But you ain't gonna put me on a stroll. You get in a relationship, we figure this out. You hurt and I'm hurt. I think that's how it go. Ain't that how it go in the movies? I had no understanding of it. So I started having different relationships with men, and they all was abusive. Not all of them, but majority of them. Because a lot of them got jealous of my talent, because I really wanted to do my music, and I was really good at it, very good at it. Yeah, I had to go back to Detroit, and for some time, for some years, we was homeless, but I was going to school, doing what I had to do, and I ended up in Cooley High School, and the group Divine that sing lately ended up coming to the store, and I wasn't even supposed to be in the store. And knew the owner, he liked me. I ended up performing for Divine. I'm thinking, yes, I ain't gotta go back to this girls' home, because remember, institutions. I'm in an institution in high school, which is a girls' home, you know, at this time, because of having to leave North Carolina, ended up homeless and all this stuff. So they couldn't take me with them on the road. They said, that's not how I go. And they had gave me the ID Moet phone number. I wasn't gonna call them because I was upset. You know, I was like, what you mean? You ain't gonna take me, this is the movies. You watching movies, people go with me. I really thought life was a real big movie, but it is. But I thought it was a movie, you know. So I ended up going home, well, not home, to the girls' home. And that night I had a dream of my great-grandmother. And she told me to call that number. And in the dream, she opened a closet and all these celebrities came falling out the door. She's like, that's gonna happen if you call that number. So I ended up calling the next day to my aunt and my dad. And he's like, your great-grandma Turner died like about 3 months ago. Took it as a sign, called, and started working with the big stars before making a band, because I had to run away from the girls' home to end up down there. It's just such a great story. So I ended up down there running away from the girls' home because I believed in myself. It was either stay here and get adopted, I'm in high school, adopted, or chase your dream and be a renegade. And I chose the latter, be a renegade, and it's been a beautiful journey. You know what I'm saying? Of, I'm gonna make this dream happen. I'm gonna make it happen. So, boom, goes. My journey started meeting DMX. I done met Jennifer Lopez, Foxy Brown. All this was going on before I even hit making a band. Long story short, years go by because I was in artist development, and that's how I ended up. I was around Dre and all them. I knew Eminem before Eminem was Eminem. So now what's going on is making a band comes to Detroit, man. I was homeless. Me and my baby daddy was squatting. So boom, with this, I had this idea of, if I make it famous, I can get my other kids back. I could get all this money, and then boom, everything goes back to how it was. Well, I'm gonna say this. At this time, a lot of people in my city knew stuff I went through, you know. I have to say this. And they considered me strong. I didn't consider myself strong, because when you have stuff dumped on you, you feel weak. But everybody else see you standing up because you're not, you know, broken, or your back ain't broken. Or they feel like you didn't kill yourself, so you're strong. Well, you are, but you may not feel like it. So, making a band came around. Wow, man, I made it through 75,000 people to the final 12. That was a lot. I didn't believe in myself, though. And that's what I say about strong. I didn't believe in myself. Even though I was in the midst of everything, I'm sitting with Diddy. But I'm thinking where I'm at, where I was at the time, which is me and my mom and my mother telling me to fix it, I was still there. Me, what was going on with my foster mother, and me trying to tell the truth about things, I'm still there. Didn't get no help for that. Me trying to figure out why am I homeless and why is this going, I'm still there. And that's what happens to us in life. The blessings will come, boom, you be right there. So they came, Making a Band came, made through 75,000 people to the final 12. We ended up being Billboard artists back then, and I didn't even know. Because people in the industry wouldn't tell us. Like, they didn't tell, oh man, I didn't know nothing about looking at no charts or anything like that, because the album made the Billboard charts. What was I thinking? It was with Diddy. Anyway, so with that comes a lot of people who watch you on TV. I ended up meeting my ex-husband, and I met him because he was a producer, and he wanted to do music, and I was helping him on some, that's not gonna work. This is not gonna work, how we met. But he was very attractive, I felt at the time. So what do? What are you taught? You look at somebody for how they look. You got his own house. Are you a virgin? You're not a virgin. Okay. Not stuff of, what are your goals? Where are you trying to go? How can, yeah, you look good, but how we gonna rock the planet? I knew how I wanted to rock the planet, but I wasn't nurtured in love, because growing up, the molestation, my dad, he ended up there, but then I was already rebellious because what was going on in the foster home I couldn't tell nobody about. I just wanted to be great, not understanding I was already great. I got caught up with his looks and caught up with the thought of having a relationship, if it makes sense, and not really putting the right person there. What ended up happening is abuse. And when I say abuse, I'm not talking about, boom, he just smacked me one day, bah. No, that ain't how it happened. No, it starts with the picking apart of who you are. Mentally, they got to get in your brain real quick. He ain't gonna tell you great every day. I do something, he started complaining about it, comparing me to other women, over looking at certain things, driving me crazy, like porn. Because I could talk like that now. I'm not at school talking. And making me really pick myself apart. And then after that comes the comparing you to the ex-women. Oh, he's so hurt about the ex-girlfriend. I should have been who I am now and say, why don't you go back there? I'm just saying. No, I wanted to be the, oh, he don't see me being great and all this type of stuff. And so what ends up happening after that became the abuse. The hitting after that, I was out of my mind, no sleep. Now I'm caught up with the Making a Band, and you a star, and I'm in this, now I done got married. Then I can't tell people what's going on with them, and I'm just out of my mind. Not understanding that in life, trauma, when your brain is like a peanut, and then this trauma happened, and that trauma has layers. It was so many layers to the pain that I found myself really in that onion. I ain't like the smell. Family told me, isolated me from my family. They ain't know who I married, and I'm still trying to do this music stuff because I just didn't want to let go. I think I couldn't fail. Particularly like I say in the school, particular day happened, I ended up running away from them. Ended up in a hotel. I didn't understand I had what's called PTSD. I didn't know anything about anxiety. I didn't know anything about postpartum psychosis. Because when you go to the hospital, you don't tell these people you feel no type of way. You gonna take my kid, you crazy. Nah, that's what you think, because why? Look at my life. You talking to somebody who wasn't with mommy and all them. All I know is they take. You can't do something, they gonna take you. So you expect me to tell you that this is going on? Oh no, I think I can handle it. And it was too much. Yeah, I tried to time myself in crisis. He came, time me out, said, oh, ain't nothing wrong with it. I'm like, I'm losing my mind. You don't understand, I need a break. You putting too much on me, you beating on me. The kids, I'm trying to figure out my career. I don't know what I'm feeling right now. I don't have no friends. Everybody I'm cool with, I can't bring them around. You doing all this crazy stuff, and then and you hitting on me. I ended up in a hotel. And in the hotel, you know, I felt like this is the psychosis part. We're running from my ex-husband, and my kid was crying because the window was down in a taxi once I got there, because me and him got into a major fight this particular day because he was mad about me going to the church. So I wanted to go to the church and ask the pastor to pray for me because I felt like something was after me. Yeah, my mind, I'm about to lose it. And this particular day, the pastor wasn't available. He was in a meeting. And I went in one door, came out another door, and he thought, I'm doing something with the pastor. Are you serious? And that's how the fight started. And it went bad to where he bit up my breast. He ran out the house. The neighbor ended up calling me a cat. I had blood everything. At the time, I was supposed to be doing something with the comedians, some more. You know, it was a lot going on in my career. Ended up at the hotel. I was already out of my mind because I ain't sleep for 2 weeks. So on top of that, I had insomnia. So I was crazy. You know, when you don't have sleep, you're delirious, you know? And I remember feeling like when my child was crying, that the men in black could hear him. And it was sending signals for his dad to come and get us. And I just was like, yo, be quiet, please. But I didn't know he had colic. And before I knew it, you know, I ended up shaking my baby. And I didn't go all like, you know, like people try to paint it. It was like, would you please be quiet? And just those instances of 3 words did a lot of damage. Because immediately that happened, I snapped back into reality. Like, oh my God, I'm out of my mind, I need help. Ran out the hotel with my son, Amari, ran out with my child, had my younger child put my baby on the front desk and said, call the police. Lady jumped back, like, what happened? Because my baby wasn't moving. He didn't even look like he had life in him. Said, call the police on me. I need help. They called the police. I remember putting my head up to his chest and his heart was beating. When the police came, it was like I was trying to tell them what was going on. I was trying to tell them, but they said, what happened? I just kept saying, well, I shoot my baby. You know, but I don't know why, but I just was feeling like this was happening, nobody hurt me. Then when we got to the place, they was making me feel like I had to say something other than what was going on. You know what I'm saying? Which was, look, I felt like this was going on. You know what I'm saying? So they was like, no, you meant to do it. No, I didn't. I really, really, really was tired, and I really felt him crying like Men in Black was coming to get me. So what happened? Ended up locked up. I'm fighting this charge, and what ended up happening, inmates told me about getting a psychological evaluation because I had a public pretender at the time. I ain't had no paid attorney. I had to tell the public pretender what to do. And the prosecutors got me to a psychological evaluation. And the defense got 2. And they all said the same thing, which was I had postpartum psychosis. And I didn't know what that was. Before they came to that, though, they was trying to get me murdered. My baby didn't die, though. Then they went to attempt to murder him. How you gonna do that? Then they did the psychological evaluation. Postpartum depression is the baby blues. I don't want to get up and touch the baby. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to be bothered. You know what I'm saying? Somebody got to be there. Psychosis It's when you become psychotic, to where women is what dogs get if you touch, and when you touch a dog, a pup, and then the dog don't know the scent, because your scent they got on the puppy. So now the mother don't know that this is her pup, and what happens, she do something psychotic, like what, eat the pup, or go crazy, you know what I'm saying? So that's why they tell us, I believe, for us not to touch the puppies when they first have them, because it's a scent thing. So with psychosis, it's like you lose your senses, you know what I'm saying, it's colic, not somebody coming to get you, you know what I'm saying? Or like the women, or you gotta do something psychotic, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, women, who, thank God I didn't go through that, but that kids say, oh, I can't take it no more, and they hear a voice that say, well, burn your kids up. You know, that's psychosis. That's what you hear. It's like you become psychotic, you know, and and what drives a woman to psychosis is the underlying things that's going on. So you can get the baby blues and you can be depressed. But then if a mother gets the baby blues and she already has PTSD, she already has severe depression, she already has any anxiety or any other thing going on, the baby blues can turn into something major, to where you have to really be there with the mother and the child. Some of the mothers may need help with the doctors to come in. But a lot of times as mothers, we be so scared to say, I feel like that. I got incarcerated, being the fact that it was psychosis, the way the state felt like they was looking out for me, it gave me aggravated assault. And once I got incarcerated, I was working on myself a lot. Well, my experiences in being incarcerated was for me to find out that I was great my whole life. Like, I needed those experiences to prepare me for where I'm at now. It was my grounding moment of, like I say, prison was school for me. Let me see. I learned about love, loving the wrong man. I loved about how you can't lose your mind. I learned about unity, that it is needed. I learned that if you do need some sort of family, if you don't, you could go crazy. And I also learned about other people's journey. My journey wasn't as bad as maybe somebody else's, and how God gave me a second chance. When I was in prison, they came to me, the therapist came to me one day because I wanted to help myself. Like, I wanted therapy, I did good therapy, parenting classes. I went through all types of stuff to help myself, to prepare me to come for society. And my therapist had this bright idea that maybe I could go out and tell some kids my story, and I did not want to do that at first. I really didn't. I just wanted to talk to them about it and just work on me. He said, no. She said, no, I think this will help. And I ended up going out to the prisons, to the schools, and I talking to kids, and I really seen that it maybe when they used to have that look in their eye, like, she get it. And I used to be thinking to myself, like, maybe I don't get it, but okay. And they helped me to be where I'm at right now, which is, I'm the owner of the Misty TV firm. I have an office at the Rockefeller Center, 2 offices on Wall Street. I'm in California, I'm in Florida, in Australia. I have different artists that I deal with, help them with their dreams coming true. I have a TV channel now. That's it. God is amazing. I have a son, something that I never thought I'd be able to do, even though me and his father isn't together. But it's because of me, my choice, you know. My child came in my life, and I needed that moment of being there just for my kid and not really too much worrying about a spouse or anything. I want to, help my son in his greatness. That's about it. What I would like to tell the person that's going through the healing process of whatever you may be going through, you have to embrace the pain. You have to embrace the darkness, and you have to thank God for it, because it's lessons. to prepare you for the other side of the rainbow. You know, for the light, you'll be able to see, and that's why the light be so bright. You know how they be like, oh my God, I see the light. It's because you didn't embrace the darkness. You didn't embrace God even keeping you alive through the darkness. You got to sit back and think, okay, God, what are you saying? And it's really like that. Whether it's abusive relationships, whether it's homelessness, whether it's molestation, all that. Because God wrote it before you got here. And he's the greatest writer ever. So we can't question his penmanship. We just got to trust the process. You know, if we can trust the process. Man, I done thanked him so many times in that cell. Just to have food, just to have hot water, you know, just have somewhere to lay. And just to thank God that I'm going to be outside doing it again. So, I would have never thought I would be on Wall Street, but I'm there. So God wrote all that. Me to be sitting here to talk to you, and who knows what he got in store. And that's what I'm saying to you. So embrace it.